Hello and welcome back to the channel. The Renault Megane is going all electric. Well, Renault management have clearly been over to Nissan's place for afternoon tea, borrowed some notes, and it's the same architecture as the upcoming Nissan Ariya. Ladies and gentlemen, this could be a very important car. Stay tuned for the details. Welcome to the channel. My name is Martin Lee, and if you like what we do here, hit subscribe and the bell icon. Well, you know why. Let's talk design and looks, and we'll start, well, at the front, as good a place as any to start. First thing you'll notice is the updated Renault badge, a modern twist on the classic logo that we've been used to. The badge is set into the top end, where it curves slightly to meet the bonnet. There's something of an ID4 in that section, do you think? Or is it just me? Let us know in the comments below. The line that separates the body panel from the bonnet, sorry, I'm bilingual, hood if you're watching this in the US, and runs down between the daytime running lights and the main light cluster before swooping across the front of the car. There's an interesting bit of two-tone colouring there also. Sometimes that looks great, but get the wrong colour combo and, well, we'll see. From the side, we're not fully sure what we're looking at here. Is it a crossover, SUV, CUV, hatchback? I don't know. Look, the lines are becoming increasingly blurred these days. I guess you like it or you don't. Black trim on the flared wheel arches and a high window line do give it that kind of style, that hunkered down look that lots of people like the look of. Door handles that are flush in the body of the car for aerodynamics, very important with electric vehicles. And the C-pillar, they give it a very sleek design that might belie its functionality. At the back, a thin but I think really detailed light bar and light cluster give a bit of definition to a rear that stretches high up towards the roofline. It'll be interesting to see how visibility works out when we finally get to drive the car here on this channel. Well, there's a flash of two-tone colour scheme as well coming through, again down towards the ground. Do you like it? What do you reckon? Let's jump inside and have a look at the interior. There is definitely, well, they're going for at least a premium feel to the materials. Now, our buddy Daniel from our channel sat down in the car and gave us a walk around recently at the IAA Mobility Show in Munich. Wasn't allowed to drive it, of course, it was on stage. He was impressed with how the car felt when he was inside it. He liked the blend of materials, he liked the stitching, the textures of the trim on the doors and the dash. The cockpit is laid out in a way that's geared towards the driver. More cars have done this recently. Think Kia EV6 with their electric vehicle. There's a large touchscreen angled inwards. Now, Daniel was hugely impressed with the functionality of the system, with how reactive it was, and he compared it to what the Polestar 2 has done. I mean, that is high praise indeed. Sitting just under the screen is a line of buttons, almost like toggle switches. There's a wireless phone charger as well. What do you reckon to the interior? Let us know. As we mentioned, the Megane will be sitting on this new EV platform coming from the Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi Alliance. It is the CMF EV platform, and if you've been following us for some time, you'll know what that means. It's a completely flat battery pack underneath you, so extra space, and a whole lot of compromises that the designers don't have to make. I mean, there's no transmission tunnel running down the middle of it, so if you want to, you can play footsie with your passengers. The car is only 4.2 meters long and 1.5 meters tall, a bit lighter than you might think at 1,725 kilograms. I mean, that's not light, of course. Anything with a battery is going to be a little bit heavier, but compared to some of the big SUVs out there right now, it's positively featherweight. But there's plenty of space in the back to fit adults comfortably by the look of it. Peer into the boot and a very good 440 litres. The opening looks ample and you'll have no problem lashing in a buggy, some golf clubs, and maybe not at the same time unless you're going to drop your kids off at nursery and then go play a round of golf. Oh, and it should be able to tow, braked up to 900 kilograms. Nice, especially for our Nordic viewers who do like to tow. Well, it looks great, but how does it drive? Well, we don't know. We can't even compare it to its cousin car, the Nissan Ariya, because we haven't driven one of those either. That comes out next summer. But until we get behind the wheel, we can at least give you some numbers. The two options are both single motor, front wheel drive, which is interesting. We'll see a hot version, I imagine, will be an RS badge on the back for Renault Sport. Maybe. But for now, we'll make do with what is not a slow car. The more expensive model gives you 160 kilowatts of power, 220 horsepower, 300 newton meters of torque for that EV experience of instant oomph. So it looks like we'll get a top speed of 160 kilometers an hour. Look, this car is not about a top speed on the Autobahn, is it? It's maybe 100 miles an hour, more than enough for anyone. More importantly, it'll do 0 to 62 miles an hour, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just over 7 seconds. We think 7.4 seconds. So again, it's going to feel very, very rapid, at least up to sort of half that speed. You know, dashing away from the traffic lights or zipping in and out of city traffic. It's going to do the job for many families who will be buying this car. So it's not a rocket, but it's not a slouch. And interestingly, the motors don't use any rare earth metals. The battery also has a lower cobalt content than they've been using until now. Let's get on to the good stuff if you're an EV nerd like me. Who said that? Batteries, range and charging. The CMF EV platform has either 40 kilowatt hours or 60 kilowatt hours. Now that is the usable specs. Neither of those again are going to win any spec wars, but with more energy, more weight comes more expense, and this car isn't going to be an expensive car. It's firstly a Renault, and it's a family car from them as well, so it needs to be as affordable as possible. We're getting WLTP figures of around 186 miles for the small battery, 294 miles for the larger one. We know if you're driving around town, stop-start, maybe you do 350 miles. All of a sudden, at high speed, in cold weather, add some elevation, you can often halve it. That's the deal with all EVs. Those figures are optimistic, but maybe you say agree on 250 miles, 400 kilometers in general, real world? Well, I'd love to know what you think about that. Is that the sweet spot for this kind of car? Let me know. Thankfully, Renault have continued the tradition of providing absolutely whopping EV charging like its cousin the Ariya, and the car that sits the other side of that garage wall just there, I have Renault Zoe, and that'll charge at 22 kilowatts AC like the Ariya, like the Zoe, and the Renault Megane. Why is that? Well, it could be because they've got the technology in their locker, but also in their home market of France. And around Europe, in fact, there are lots and lots of 22 kilowatt AC posts. And if you're not selling Renaults in your home market, you've got a problem, so that might be another reason. Perfect for those times you're doing the shopping, having lunch, seeing a movie, those kind of 1-2 hour stops. You can add a ton of range, almost fill your battery if you're stopping for a couple of hours in the small battery. Well, it's a pretty good situation on DC fast charging as well. Megane has 130 kilowatt peak rates. Yeah, it's not a Taycan, yeah, it's not an Ioniq 5 or Kia EV6, but it's plenty. And as we always say on this channel, hey, it's all about the curve. No point having a very fast charging car where that charge curve, as it starts to fill up and gets to 10, 20, 30%, just drops off a cliff. If it can charge at 130 but sustain it, that's a winner in our book. So, half the battery pack in 15 minutes while you pop in for a coffee? Yes, please. Well, as an international show with a global audience, this channel is always a bit hesitant about giving you exact prices because it changes so much with taxes, and this car isn't even on the market yet, but we think 60 kilowatt hour big battery Megane coming in at about £35,000 UK, about $40,000 mainland Europe, but we do have 20% tax already added to those prices. So similar to the low bottom end ID4, but faster charging, more range, more speed, but the Renault badge might not be as premium for some people as a VW badge. I'd like to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Well, production is a long way from starting, but it will happen so that customers get their deliveries towards the end of next year. You can go online now and register your interest on your relevant Renault website. So what do you think? Have they knocked it out of the park? It will be an important car in our view, but do you agree or disagree? It's one of those big selling, mainstream, not cheap, but very affordable family cars. As people come to the end of their finance agreements, we think they'll be going back to their Renault dealers and saying, oh, I'd like something electric, and this will be in their driveway. That's what we think, but what do you think? Would you rather a Leaf or an ID4 or something else? Let us know in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and it tells us to make more just like it, and we'll see you on the next one.